Time to musk up. Wow.
Looks like another month has gone by us. We are in March now, so I have another top 5 recommendations, but I have 6 here, right? I guess technically you can kind of say this is a spring list, but I don't know. I think it's still a little too early, so I'm kind of holding off on that. Enough time has been wasted. Let's get right into it. So I'm going to start this off with a little bit of a curveball, kind of. I don't think really anybody talks about this, but I was intrigued by it because this is really similar to another l'artisan that I do really like, and that is Nuit de Tuberose. And this stuff goes under the radar, so I think I paid like $60 for this brand new bottle here in the older form. Just beautiful with the script on the side there. And this one has some similarities and the same perfumer as Timbuktu, and it has that note of mango, and it's also got some of the more similar spices, or maybe Angelica was the one that was in Zonka. And Zonka also made by the same perfumer, Duchefort. This one is a nice, spicy, almost musky tuberose. The tuberose here is kind of, smells like bubblegum a little bit. It's not too overpowering because sometimes that's what happens with white florals. This one here is balanced really well, has a nice little mango fruitiness, and has some nice clove, some nice green spicy Angelica there as well. Really unique and one of my favorite tuberoses, to be honest, up there with Carnal Flower. Now, very typically, you would say that this would lean feminine, and for most men it probably does, but I don't mind this one. Spiciness kind of brings it back to the unisex side. All right, next up on the list is a vintage, and honestly, this was one of my favorite vintages out of all the vintages that I've tried over the months. And this was love at first sniff. It was really easy, really enjoyable. Paco Rabanne Pour Homme. I think this might be the second or third formula. Just your aromatic fougere here. Oak moss, oak moss, oak moss, lavender, some other aromatic notes. I think rosemary or sage, one of those. And the best part about this is towards the dry down, slowly this almost animalic honey note starts to come in. Timeless, Paco Rabanne Pour Homme. So next one on the list is one of my favorite fragrances to wear. Really enjoyable, really easy, and people just absolutely love it when they pick it up. And that is Le Labo's Another 13. Now this one, the best way I can describe it is picture a Baccarat Rouge 540, but take out all of the ethyl maltol, all that sweetness, all that candy floss, and you have Another 13. Just a huge dose of ambroxan with some, definitely pick up some muskiness, some amberiness here as well, some fruitiness from a pear. On my skin, sometimes I don't even pick it up, but people can smell it from across the room, but it's still not intrusive to people's noses. It's just a nice, enjoyable bubble around you and others that pick it up. This stuff just really, really works. For some might say it smells like nail polish, but once it mixes with the skin, it works wonders. Another 13. Next on the list is from one of my favorite brands, a brand that honestly really doesn't do wrong often or ever, and that is Chanel Pour Monsieur in the EDP concentration. This is the newer formula, not the concentrate. Although Eau de Toilette concentrate is just a fancy way of saying eau de parfum. It was just a marketing scheme because men, when they saw eau de parfum, they always assumed that it was for women. So they named eau de parfum at that time eau de concentrate. But either way, it is a little bit different. I do have a vintage mini thanks to Anooj, but this one is basically just a flanker of the original Pour Monsieur, but more leaning rather on the cheaper side. This one leans more towards the kind of barbershop fougere leaning. So you got that spicy green oak moss, the bergamot, but mixed in with some lavender, and then also made a little bit more modern by adding in some vanilla, I think there is some spiciness here from a nutmeg, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, really enjoyable, easy wear. Can't go wrong with this. Chanel Pour Monsieur EDP. So next on the list, I have here a vintage classic, although this is more of a modern formula. But this stuff has been around since 1933, and that is Guerlain's Vol de Nuit. Fantastic, gorgeous fragrance. I definitely think it's unisex, especially in the EDT concentration. The EDP, I think, starts to go more in with the florals, but this one is just a gorgeous powdery green orris fragrance. Galbanum, like I said, orris, iris. Definitely pick up some aldehydes here. There's a bunch of different florals in here. I think there's narcissus in here as well. Some spice, some woodiness. Just a fantastic, almost vintage wear. If you look online, there's a bunch of different notes here, just like a lot of the classics used to have. And till this day, I think this fragrance still holds up, and Guerlain still sells it. But it is in the newer bottles, the bottles that the Mitsuko comes in with the upside down heart cap. Vol de Nuit Guerlain. And last but not least, I have a fragrance here, another vintage fragrance, and I'm not sure, they might still make this. Actually, I do think they still make this fragrance, but this is a vintage formula that I have here, and that is Jean-Louis Scherer. Scherer. There you go. And this is self-titled Jean-Louis Scherer. Right, and I guess some people call it #1, right? And this is another kind of galbanum green, orris heavy fragrance. But here, you definitely get that vintage oak moss in here, and I think there's a note of sandalwood in here. And if you smell this version, it's evident that, well, for me at least, I pick up on some Mysore sandalwood in here. It definitely has that woody sawdust marinating in milk. It just goes really, really well, almost like fresh soil, right? Put the galbanum and that buttery orris. I really like this. And yeah, and you can actually get this. I got this from Anooj. Sorry for the fingerprints, forgot that. But yeah, I think I've definitely recommended this to a couple of people. I don't know if they got it or not. I think it was maybe Margie. I don't know if she ended up getting one, but I think the ladies would definitely like this. Again, typically probably feminine leaning, but because of that green soily oak moss, I think this can be an easy wear for a guy as well. All right, that's my list for the month of March. I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully maybe within a week or two, and if it gets a little bit warmer, I'll come with a top 10 spring list. All right, take care. Bye.